Hey, what's going on, everybody? Back again with another video. We're looking at Bitcoin over USD. Current prices for Bitcoin is 18,930. As you know, we came from a high of $69,000 and declined all the way down to where we're at now. Now, the white lines that I have at the top and the bottom, I tried to fit, as perfect as possible. And this is what we're left with. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the furthest that we can go on this chart. And what I'm going to do is take a Fibonacci retracement and use that tool and drag this tool from the top price, so the top of the white channel, and bring that all the way down until we hit the bottom of the white channel. The start of the channel. So the bottom price, and this is the top price. So we drag it from the top all the way to the bottom, and we just look at the 0.618 Fibonacci. And as you see, let's get a little bit more accurate. Top is right there. Okay, and that's the bottom. So now get our rectangle tool out, and we just mark the 0.65 to the 0.618 Fibonacci. And look at that, we pretty much landed right in that range. After increasing from 1 cent all the way up to $32, we retraced all the way down towards the 0.618 Fibonacci. So what we could do from here is just delete that, since we have that range already mapped out. We use another Fibonacci tool from the top to the bottom of where we bottomed out at. Look at the 0.618 Fibonacci. This entire range. And looking at this 0.618 Fib, you can see how we were increasing, went up to the 0.5, got a little bit of hit resistance, came back down, increased into the 0.618 Fibonacci range before we ultimately started to blast off towards the 1.618. And this is what you see right here. We went all the way up to the 1.618 before we saw another decline. Let's actually go down to the weekly chart instead of the monthly chart, which shows more price action within the candles. So once again, this right here was the 1.618 Fibonacci at $178 before we saw a decline. And that decline over here was approximately 75%. So what I would do from here is, since this area over here was the 0.618 and we increased off of that, a major move off of that before we saw a decline, I would take a Fibonacci retracement from this top price right here all the way to the bottom price. Pretty much what we did when we were looking at the price action over here in the beginning, 2010, 2011. So we marked the 0.618 Fib, and look at that. It's pretty much in this range of where Bitcoin bottomed out at. So now we can delete that just so that we don't have all these indicators on the charts. This right here was a buy. It said $74 was the buy on the low end, even though we wicked all the way down to $65. What's $10 in comparison to what that potential move, that next move is about to be. And as you see over here, just like we bounced off of the 0.618 over here, this right here is 0.618, and we bounced off of that. Now this time we actually hit the top white channel, which is this channel that dates back from 2010 and all the way to the future. So every time we hit the top white trend line, we typically see a decline. And every time we bounce off the bottom of the white trend line, we typically see an increase. So what is coming next, what I'm going to do next is, since we noticed at the bottom was around at 0.618 Fibonacci, we take another Fibonacci retracement, pull that tool out, go from the top price over there to the low price. And this low price is denoted over here, 50 cents. $50. So what we do after that is we look at the 1.618 fib. And as you see, 1.618 Fibonacci is sitting at $740. So now, what we could also do is check out where the 0.618 fib is sitting at, and look and behold, right before another major increase, blast off until we hit the top of the trend, the white trend line, and then started to decline all the way to the bottom white. So now I'm just going to map out how, we knew that even, hitting this top trend line, we knew that we were going to come down to the bottom white trend line. Let's delete. Pull out Fibonacci retracement. So now what we do here is take another Fibonacci from the top price and bring this all the way down to the start of that trend. So we first hit the bottom white line over here. We started to increase on a bull run until we hit the top white trend line, bam. So it took about 2 years from 2011 all the way up to 2013 for us to hit from bottom to the top white trend line before we saw a major decline back to the bottom white trend line. So now, since we pulled the Fibonacci's from this top to this low, what we do here now is look at the 0.618 Fibonacci. So the 0.618 fib is in this range. It says between 128 and 104. And this is the spot that we were technically supposed to decline to. But we got a bonus. We only came down to $161 opposed to 102, 127. Now, I'm going to delete this. This should have already been deleted. And since the targets didn't hit, and sometimes this can be a little fake out in the market, or a little proof that we don't have to necessarily hit the exact target. We can come close to it. Just like on the upside, everybody was calling for $100,000 Bitcoin on last cycle, but we only hit $69,000, for example. It was close to the targets, but at the same time, didn't fully hit the targets. Now, what you want to do is pull another Fibonacci retracement tool from this top price all the way to this bottom price, since we confirmed that this was the bottom indeed. And you could also figure out that this is the bottom because we had double bottoms here. So this price right over here, this wick is sitting at $168, and this wick right here is sitting at $161. It's technically a double bottom. We look at the 0.618, this range over here, and we wait for the breakout. And as you see, we were trading up, bam, bam, trading up, got a decline right into the 0.618 Fibonacci before we saw a major increase, pretty much to the 1.618 Fib. And we actually got extended. We went close to the 2.618 Fibonacci this go around. So what I'm going to do is mark that 1.618 Fib, which is around here, 4,454. And I'm going to actually extend this out. And we can delete. So now everything is starting to paint a picture. And as you see, this target on the blue right here was technically the bottoms of the next market. So what I would do from here is take another Fibonacci from this top around $20,000, bring it all the way down to the bottom. And look at that. Lo and behold, the 0.618 Fibonacci is sitting right near that 1.618 Fibonacci. And also, the 0.618 Fib is right where we bottomed out at the last cycle in 2019, $3,220. So what we do from here is look at the 1.618 Fib, and we can honestly just put a horizontal line there just to mark that this is the potential move that's coming in the markets, even if we get close to it or blow past it, just like how we did in the last cycle and get close to the 2.618. So now let's delete this price action. And see what we can do from here. So since we hit the top white trend line, saw a major decrease to the white trend line on the bottom. Take a Fibonacci from top prices of $20,000 all the way to the low at 3,200, and then we just look at the 0.618 Fib, and we mark that. And as you see, we went from 3,200 all the way up to the 0.786 Fibonacci, which was $13,284. Before we saw a decrease all the way to the white trend line. During this time period, we technically should have stayed at the 0.618 Fibonacci, but since we had the COVID pandemic at that point, we pretty much got extended to the downside. So until we get above the 0.618, we would just be in a down period in the markets. So once we got above the 0.618 Fibonacci, we had another major increase, and we have to expect it to go towards the 1.618 Fibonacci. And look at that. The 1.618 Fib is literally saying $61,920. And I'll just bring this across. Bam. And look at that. So now, what do you expect is going to happen in the future? If this blue line right here was the 1.618 back in 2017, 2018, 2019 market, and now, and we supported on top of the 1.618 all the way from these prices, don't you think that on the next cycle we should be sitting above these levels around 60,000 45,000 around these in like 2023, 2024, 2025. So that's just what I'm thinking. So now what I'm going to do is pull another Fibonacci retracement tool from the top price to the bottom. The 0.618, look at that. It's sitting at $40,600. And this next 1.618 Fibonacci is sitting at 157,863. So I'm going to mark those two. And I'm going to delete everything. And these are the next targets that I see for the markets. Now, to figure out, I actually missed one period. I'm going to see if we can get a 0.618 fib in this range. So in order to do that, what you do is pull another Fibonacci retracement from the top price of $69,000 and bring that all the way down to the bottom price around $3,000. And then we just look at the 0.618 Fibonacci. And look at this. The 0.618 Fibonacci says $21,111. We've hit the bottom. I'm calling it right now. We hit the bottom, even though we are currently underneath the 0.618 Fibonacci. Doesn't mean anything. That's just a bonus for you to get in the markets. Stop being scared and get into the markets. You know, we have all these pages and stuff calling for a $10,000 Bitcoin, $7,000 Bitcoin is inevitable. You know, like it's getting ridiculous. Just stick with the charts and, you know, everything works out. Delete this. Let's delete this. And this is what we're left with. As you see, everything maps out. And once again, even though we're currently underneath the 0.618 Fibonacci, we were underneath the 0.618 Fibonacci around here. Slightly under here. We didn't even touch it over here. Slightly under here because we wicked. We didn't touch it right here. And we were underneath it this period entirely until we blast off and hit the top white trend line. So the current prices where we're at right now, we could be good, y'all. You know, to hit up to the upside. I'm on a 2-hour chart right now. That's a little bit too low. Let's go to the 4-hour. What's happening? So currently, I could tell that we're probably hitting a Fibonacci right now. Pull the Fibonacci from top to bottom and look at the 0.618. This right here is saying $19,127. Let's delete this. Let's go down to 2 hours again. Let's go down to 1 hour. I'm sorry, that was too low. That's the 1 minute chart. Go down to 1 hour. We could also take a Fibonacci from the bottom to the top to see if we have any confluence. And yep, there we go. 0.618 Fibonacci is in this range at $18,756. So technically, Bitcoin is right where it's supposed to be. Now, I'm just going to take another Fibonacci retracement from this top price. Look at the 0.618 on the upside. And then ultimately the 1.618 should be hitting, you know, real soon. Let's delete this. Before we ultimately start heading back up. And I know this video is extremely long and I'm sorry. If you want to, you can just skip ahead. Interesting. So I'm looking at a triangle pattern. This was forming the same way back when we were at $3,000. Can I clone this? I'm just gonna make another one. Whenever we break out of this triangle, we should increase around this to around $30,000. This feels exactly like 3,000. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Look at this. We had a small little triangle down here. Even though it's not perfect. Bam. And look what we did. We eventually hit this. Bam. I know I'm not crazy. And we kept going up until we hit the 0.618 before we ultimately came back down to the white line and or top of the 1.618 or the top of the 0.618 fib. Okay. So if anything, we could increase from these current prices up to 30,000, up to 40,000, a little bit above it, say close to 50,000 before we roll back over and hit around 27,000, or on top of the 0.618 Fibonacci, which is 23,000, before we have another ascent up. And on this market cycle, I believe we could hit, $160,000. I ain't saying it, but the charts are saying it. So we could finally get our $100,000 Bitcoin everybody's been looking for. All right, if anything, changes, I'll update it. I'll update everybody. But so far, this seems like everything's going to hit. Let me see. I could do this. Make a parallel channel. Bring this down. Look at that. It pretty much maps out like perfectly. Even though we had this little period where we were underneath this channel, it pretty much maps out perfectly. Like if you really look at it. And even with the current prices right now, we're at the bottom of this trend line, of this parallel trend line, which when you're at the bottom of the trend lines is technically a buy, because think about it, look right here. So we were decreasing, buy. Buy here, we went up. We went from 33,000 all the way up to 45, came back down a little bit, and then ultimately $47,000 until we hit the top trend line. then that's when we start to decline. So now, trend line like this, every time we hit the top of the trend line, we sell. So up here, we should have sold. This is a buy, sell, buy, another buy since we're underneath it, another buy, and technically anywhere around this range is a buy. So once we get around here, this would be the test. Around $28,000, that's going to be the test to see if we're in the bull market or not. Can we get something like this? I think it's doable. All right. This video is already 26 minutes and I do not edit anything. So this video is getting uploaded right now. Yeah, like I said, if anything changes, if y'all want me to update y'all with anything, just, DM me on my page. And I'll get back to y'all. All right, let's make this money.